Hey everybody, it's Jason Collins with GUNITURE.com, and we're going to be covering something a little bit different today. A buddy of mine from Facebook said, hey, why don't you show me how easy it is to open up locks? And while this is not directly related to concealment furniture, I think it's important for us to pay attention to how we're locking our things up, and paying attention to physical security is always important. So I got a few locks here today, and we're going to talk about them. We're going to open them up, see how difficult they are, and talk about how much security they actually provide and why they might not provide the appropriate level of security. This is a typical consumer grade lock that you would find at Home Depot, Walmart, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, any sort of big box home improvement store or whatever. And what we're going to do is we are going to attempt to open this without a key. And while these are lock-picking tools, they can be purchased readily on Amazon, eBay. You can actually get a pretty serviceable set of lockpick tools for under 10 bucks from China. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a little bit of rotational tension on the center of the lock. We're going to take this tool, we're going to insert it in, and we are going to attempt to manipulate the pins in the lock to the point where it does just that, and it opens. Okay. While every lock sort of prefers its own particular tool, most of these consumer grade Walmart, Home Depot locks, they can be opened with pretty much any kind of lock picking tool. They are really what would be called low security. It's two opens on that one with two different tools. Next, we'll take a look at this lock, which is a Brinks, came from Walmart. It's labeled as a high security lock. It's a little bigger, it has a hardened shackle, brass body. I believe this one is a 4-pin lock, as well as the other one was a 4-pin lock. And we'll do exactly the same thing. We will apply a little bit of rotational tension on the core. We'll take our tool, slip it in, and see how long it takes to hear the snap, just like that. This lock here is pretty interesting. My wife and I were recently on a trip to San Diego, California, and we were walking down the street, and I looked at a street sign, and someone had affixed this lock to the street sign, and you can tell it's been out in the weather for quite a long time. But this is a master commercial lock. It's supposed to be one of their better locks. It's got some drill protection down here. I brought the lock home rather, soaked it overnight, cleaned it up a little bit, lubed it up, and obviously I picked it off of the signpost when we were in San Diego. Seeing this through the camera is a little bit tricky. Put our tension tool in, just like that. We'll try a different tool with this one. This is called a city pick, and it is made to mimic the cuts of a key. And basically you do the same thing, apply a little rotational tension, put this in, and attempt to manipulate the pins into place. And honestly, this normally happens way faster when you're not on camera. And the awesome thing is, if it doesn't work with the first tool, you just try another one. Anytime I show someone how quickly you can open a lock, it makes them a little uneasy. But let me tell you, most criminals are not going to take the time necessary to learn this skill. I've spent hours and hours, years and years learning to do this, and I'm still not the greatest guy in the world at opening locks. So criminals aren't going to do that. They're just going to kick your door in. They're going to throw a brick through the window. There's a dozen ways they can get into your house without picking the lock. But let's take a look at, these were padlocks, obviously. let's take a look at locks that you would typically find on your front door. This is a 4-pin keyed up in a KwikSet key configuration. Very, very typical of what you would find on probably 60 to 80% of the residential locks in the United States. We're going to do exactly the same thing with exactly the same tools and see how long it'll take us to get this one open. And again, normally this lock yields much quicker than what we're seeing on camera. There we go. And that's a 4-pin KwikSet type residential lock opened. This is a 5-pin, basically the same lock, but it has an extra pin. Now let me explain what we're doing. When we're using one of these tools, we are endeavoring to get the pins to line up sort of with random back and forth action. When you have 5 pins instead of 4, the probability shifts dramatically when it comes to randomly aligning those pins. It's much more difficult to do that with a 5-pin lock than it is to do it with a 4-pin lock. But we're going to try this one and see if we can get it to yield. And there we go. 5-pin residential lock yields. This one over here is a little more difficult. It's the type of lock that you would see on a commercial door. And this one actually has 6 pins. So it is even more secure, or the probability of me being able to get those pins lined up perfectly are much higher, or much lower rather. The odds are against me more so than they are with a 4-pin or a 5-pin lock. You can typically get this one open relatively quickly if I play around, but I'm not going to guarantee that it'll happen on this video. Sometimes it happens rather quickly, and sometimes it doesn't. And we'll try a reverse pick on this one. Sometimes if they don't want to go, we can, there we go. And so that's a 6-pin commercial lock opened. Now the tools that we've used up to this point are called rakes, and you're really dealing with a random attack on the lock. All of these are designed to either mimic the key or to apply a random attack. Just to focus, this is the one that looks more like a key than any of the rest of them. Now the other technique is to do what's called single pin picking. And with single pin picking, you take a pick that looks like this, and the idea is you're going to manipulate each individual pin one at a time in an attempt to sort of precisely get them to line up, where the techniques and attacks that we had used up to this point were more of a random thing. So we'll take this and reach all the way to the back of the lock and begin to feel the pins. We're applying a little bit of rotational tension, just like we did before. And what we're doing is we are taking advantage of the inherent machining and manufacturing differences in the locks that cause the pins to bind, and that's how you single pin pick. So we're just under 10 minutes here, and even with my talking, we have managed to pick open 2 residential, 1 commercial, and 3 padlocks. Marshall, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned some things from it. You can't trust locks, but then again, locks are for honest people. This is Jason Collins with GUNITURE.com. Look us up online. If you're interested in concealment furniture, hidden in plain sight, look us up. Be sure to share this video. Have a great day. God bless you.